Hello everyone, I'm Jay. I'm from Team 5, and our team includes George, me, Samuel, Devanshu, and Jancy. And our team topics for this presentation is Moxie's restaurant. The first one is the agenda. This is the outline from the introduction from chapter 10 as well as the recommendation and conclusion. About the introduction, the purpose of our video is to show that economics isn't just theory in textbook. We want to demonstrate how the ideas like supply, demand, elasticity, imperfect competition, etc., actually appear in everyday decisions made by a premium casual dining business like Moxie's. And by the end of this presentation, you see how these economic models help explain Moxie's pricing, menu, competition, and even the way they design the customer experience. Briefly about Moxie, they are a Canadian-based premium casual restaurant chain with a global-inspired menu and handcrafted cocktails. And they are really well known for their contemporary and cozy ambience with signature dishes.
Hi, this is Devanshu. I'm going to cover chapter 1 and chapter 10 of our course based on the business model Moxie Grill and Bar. Moxie's strategy is a response to the fundamental economic problem making choices under scarcity. Scarcity and choice define their real estate strategy, such as Moxie prioritized AAA premium sites in rich and high traffic areas, forcing them to accept a high operating cost for maximum visibility. The opportunity cost of committing millions to brand renovation is the lowest value of alternatives such as opening new stores in different areas. Moxie combines the four factors of production. First one is labor. They have approximately 7,000 employees, including chefs and manager. This is their major cost, severely impacted by minimum wage hikes. Second one is land, their physical and high traffic locations. Third one is capital, the financial investment required to up to $7.4 million per franchise. Lastly, enterprise, the leadership driving the brand relaunched to target rich millennials aged between 30 to 45.
I'm going to talk about chapter 2 and 3 of microeconomics with Moxies. The chapter 2 and 3 is the demand and supply. The demand and supply in Moxies is one of the most important aspects in a company such as a restaurant. Moxies has started as a Calgary-owned restaurant in 1986. Currently, there are 50 locations around Canada in each of their provinces, as well as their expansion to the US with 8 restaurants in Texas, Massachusetts, Arizona, and Florida. Their demand has been changing since Mosley is not only a restaurant but it's also a sports bar. Their first expansion to the US started in Texas, where a company bought one Moxie's restaurant and decided to expand it to Dallas, where they have a venue in the Dallas Stars Stadium in Texas. Mostly the demand has been increasing and decreasing mostly because it is mostly depending on the seasons as well as the variables such as like the promotions, their supplying, and the ideas that they brought up for every aspect. Their demand is basically changing a lot because of their marketing, the promotions, and the social media ideas. Their demand curve has been rising and lowering based on the seasons. Mostly, they have a lot of ideas like their holiday brunches and venues for companies who would like to do their last meals with their companies as well as in the place. The supplies of Moxie's is probably Canadian company. Therefore, it uses 100% Canadian products, like their dairy, their meat, beverages, beer, but mostly, although Moxie's is in the US, they are always looking out for local businesses, not only in Canada, but also inside the US. Therefore, they don't have to deal with the situation between the tariffs as well as the exporting between different products like dairy or meat, which it's kind of complicated now with the situation of the tariffs nowadays. Therefore, their supply is mostly broadly Canadian inside Canada, but in the US, they're usually looking towards local businesses, and their demand changes a lot due to the season.
In the short run, Moxie's has costs that stay the same, like rent, kitchen equipment, and under salaries. No matter how busy it gets, these fixed costs don't change, but other costs like ingredients, hourly staff, and utilities go up when more guests come in. There are variable costs, so on a busy Friday, the more dishes they serve, the more they have to spend on food and stuff. Plus, when it gets really busy, even the cost of producing each extra meal, the marginal cost starts to rise because everyone and everything is working at full capacity. Now, on the second slide, price elasticity of demand. This basically means how sensitive customers are to price changes. At Moxie's, things like appetizer and sodas are elastic. If they expensive, people might order or less or pick another restaurant. But their signature steaks, cocktails, or special limited time items are more inelastic. Customer wants them even at higher prices. Moxie uses happy hour and promotion to attract guests for elastic products, hoping they also order some of the more exclusive elastic items. Finally, let's see how these all work together. If Moxie raises prices too high on everyday items, they risk losing customers to competitors. But when it comes to seasonal specials or unique dishes, they can charge more because guests are willing to pay for something special. By knowing which items are elastic and which are inelastic, and keeping an eye on how costs changes as they get busier, Moxies can make smart pricing decisions and stay profitable even during their busiest time.
I'm going to talk about long run average cost. Um, so let's start with the components of long run average cost. First, we have economies of scale. These are the cost advantages that occur when a firm grows larger. There are two types of economies of scale. First, technical economies of scale comes from using advanced or specialized machinery that smaller firms can afford. And second, pecuniary economies of scale refers to financial savings. For example, large firms pay lower prices for inputs because they can negotiate for better deals. Next is diseconomies of scale. This happens when firms become too large and start facing management problems like miscommunication. At this point, the average cost begin to rise again. Finally, cost returns to scale occur when increasing all inputs by a certain percentage increases output by the exact same percentage. A firm is considered to operating at its right size. Now we can apply all these concepts to Moxie's. As Moxie's expands from a single restaurant to a regional or national chain, it experiences economies of scale. It means its average cost per unit gets lower as the company grows. And now we can move on to Chapter 8, Perfect Competition. We can start by defining perfect competition. It is a theoretical market model with 4K characteristics. First, there are many small buyers and sellers. And second, products are identical. And third, there is easy entry and exit for firms. Lastly, all participants have perfect information. However, for Moxie's, it doesn't operate in such market. Instead, it actively sets price by considering factors like ingredient costs, customer demand, competitor pricing, and the perceived value of its dining experience. This is a practical application of demand-oriented and competition-oriented price strategies.
They focus on efficiency. They achieve productive efficiency through centralized operational standards and ingredient standards. They also seek allocative efficiency by producing what consumers demand. For this, they use a test makers program for data-driven menu development. Another thing is about Moxie's market power and pricing. Moxie's operate as a monopolistic competitor facing rivals like the KEG. Their success relies on intense product differentiation, like high-end design and localized services, which gives them a degree of price-setting power. Their goal is to profit maximization, where marginal revenue equals marginal cost. A sharp increase in labor cost is noted by one franchise undermined this equilibrium and led to a closure of the franchise. Moxie employs a strategy similar to price discrimination with its happy hour program. By charging lower prices during off-peak hours, they capture both the price-sensitive and the less price-sensitive consumer groups in order to maximize their total revenue. As a large chain, Moxie achieves significant economics of scale in bulk purchasing. This cost advantage acts as a major barrier to entry for smaller restaurants and help them to sustain in a large profit margin. All in all, Moxie's success is a meticulously executed response to economic pressures, utilizing strategic differentiation in market power and cost efficiencies. And another thing that makes it a proper infrastructure of the Moxie Land Bar. Thank you.
So I'll talk about the differentiations between Moxies and their rival. So the first one is the menu and food. As I aforementioned, they have a culturally inspired menu with house-made dishes and really selected and high-quality ingredients, which make them really unique. Would make them a really unique restaurant. They also have drinks and bar program, just like their signature drinks and happy hour, and a really great bar and lounge vibe. The third one is the experience and design. So they have a premium casual atmosphere, which really unique from each location, like custom design location that match each neighborhood that they're locating at. And the branding of them is really great as well. They are a big Canadian chain. We've been operating for over 35 years with a premium casual identity. So with the differentiations, give them some control over the price, and the customer go come there is not just buying food, they buy the experience. Talking about their rivals, so in the same premium upscale casual segment, so we have Earth, Cactus Cup, Joey, Cake, Milestone, and local independents, etc. So regarding the imperfect competition of Moxie, the first one is the market structure. I'll give everyone this short definition of the imperfect competition is that it includes the monopolistic competition and oligopoly, which means the firms have identifiable products and some control over the price. For Moxie, they are competing in monopolistic markets, which is a form of imperfect competition where many differentiated restaurants and each have some market power. So obviously we can see that the restaurant, especially the casual premium restaurant market, is a monopolistic market by having a really simple entry and exit. And from regarding Moxie, they have a lot of rivals in the same segment. The second one is the elasticity. So obviously we can see that Moxie, they have many rivals with limitation of differentiation because actually the services and the decoration and the food of these restaurants actually kind of similar to each other. So it's not a big differentiation. So probably the demand is elastic, but not perfectly elastic. Like for Moxie, in case they raise the price, so the customer can switch to their rivals, such as Earth, Cactus, or other local bistro. So which means that's quite price sensitive. But some loyal guests of Moxie days love Moxie, specifically menu items, a cocktail or vibe. I think they're still willing to pay a bit more than the other place. So Moxie still remains some market power. So in the short run, so their strong location like in a busy mall or in like downtown location is a together with a strong branding can let a specific Moxie's unit earn economic profit. And as we can see, they also faces a downward sloping demand curve, which is not perfectly demand. And in the long run, so probably in the future, new chains or local restaurants can enter the market and the consumer choices increase. So probably the Moxie's demand curve is gonna shift left and be flatter.